we are in a very, very awkward predicament. Kyrie is now out for awards. LeBron is potentially out for awards. Luka's out for awards. AD's out for awards. Triple J's on pace to being out for the awards. Pretty much players that were considered locks are now not locks.
Oh yeah.
And now people who were considered not locks, like dare I say, Jaylen Brown, who wasn't considered a All NBA player this year, is probably still going to have a chance of making third team All NBA. And but that also
Maybe
means
second at this rate.
there's some like LeBron was looking like, dang, he might make first team All NBA, but now barring injury, being out for 2-3 weeks with that groin injury,
I think he's going to be out for the rest of the regular season. I think
and
they're going to set him.
dare I say it, he's probably gonna be cooked on All NBA now
Let me see how many games he played.
because he already missed time earlier this year.
He's played. Does it have a game total? I can find it.
I usually just count.
He's played 58. He needs 7 more games. He's been an Iron Man for the most part.
Yeah,
So he
that's
can only miss 7 more games, and they have. What's their record? They're 39 and 21, so. No, they're not. I got that wrong. They are 40 and 23, so they played 63 games. He got 19 games left. He can only miss 7 of those. It's about 2 weeks of games. He's looking at a 1 to 2 week injury. I'm not rushing him back for him to get awards. And even then, there is injury designation, and it's LeBron. If he plays 62 games, they'll let him get an awards.
this is all
So
I'll say.
I think the injury designation lets you like you only have to do 62. I think that'll
Seven
happen.
in March 22nd would be the seventh game. So he has
I don't see it.
that's 11 days,
Groin injuries are rough. He already had one that was bad.
and that's also a lot of back to backs as well. Like that I in those next 7 games, there's like
The
three
Lakers have
back
a
to
rough
backs.
schedule. Lakers have a rough schedule here coming up.
So I don't even if he came back, he'd still miss the back to backs if he came back. You know, like
If he, yeah, like I said, if he
it's
played
rough.
62, they would let him in if he played 62 because the injury designation. But even then, I wouldn't be shocked if they shut him down.
It is crazy to think that like he arguably would have been first team All NBA. I don't know
At
if
least
I
second.
wouldn't. I don't know if I'd put Brunson over him. I don't know if I would put Cat over him. If we're talking about fifth best player knocking out everybody else who's been knocked out because of injury, I put LeBron in there
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that.
because I'm not putting Brunson in first team. I don't think he's.
I put Cat over Brunson.
Guess what I'm saying? I don't think Brunson's played at a first team level, but Brunson and Cat are arguably going to make first and second team this year, which is
We
crazy
should
to me.
do next pod. We fill out our all teams
I might.
like piece for piece. Oh,
All
oh,
right. Um, All NBA
I think
awards are going to be very offense and defense is going to be very weird because injuries have kind of cooked it. Like if we're being honest, I think the biggest one is MVP. And
well, let's start. What do you say we start with the smaller ones first?
oh yeah, let's
We'll
go
lead
through
up to
like
it.
six mans and whatnot.
So like rookie of the year, Stephon Castle.
Unfortunately, not. This is the problem. This is the problem. I love Stephon
It would
Castle.
have been McCain.
I love his game, but I was a McCainer. I had him. I put hard earned money on him, and of course he got injured.
Oh man,
But if it was going to be anybody else, I would like it to be
he'll be
Castle. So
back.
I'm glad Castle is going to win it because he would have been my next guy.
McCain will be back.
Um,
He's handsome too. What? Yeah, defensive player. Toss
it's
up
a
here.
toss up.
I
Yeah,
think all three,
Mobley.
Mobley, Triple J, and Dyson,
You
for
could
different
even
reasons, can all get there.
you could arguably throw in a lot of players. Like I'm not against like a Giannis shout. I'm not
I'm
against.
not either.
I'm
I'm not
arguably
either.
not against a Tatum shout.
No,
And
I think those are the 3 big guys.
yeah, I don't.
I
I
don't
think
see
there's a
any of those.
gap. There's a gap,
There's
but
like those 3, then a medium gap, but no. There's, I mean, there's a lot of great defensive players. There's more great defensive players than offensive players, but I think it'll be Mobley, is my prediction. Team record will help him.
see,
But Dyson Daniels, I want to see him win.
I think Dyson
rooting for him.
deserves it in the fact that he is like it's something crazy. Like there's like a 60
And a guard,
gap.
again, it's like kind of like the Curry argument, but the guard his size, being as good as what he does, is to me more impressive than Mobley.
The season leader, like
That's
the
him.
gap was
That's
crazy.
him on a perimeter with Trae Young. God help us all. Trae Young's playing defense,
My thing is,
whereas Mobley has Jared Allen next to him.
yeah,
helping him, so
Dyson
he's got
Daniels
help.
was averaging in a span like 5 steals per game. I know it's definitely barred down, but there was a spur of time where he was averaging 5 assists or 5 steals a game. I think it's down to like 2.6 or something like that. It might be.
He is averaging 3 flat,
3 flat. That's crazy. What's his block set?
0.7.
Okay, but I think
And still giving me 14 points per game.
no, that's what I'm saying. His
6 rebounds,
production on
4
offense
assists.
has been impressive.
Solid.
But what I was gonna
Especially
say, look at the totals because I could be wrong, but there was like a 40 steal gap between him and second place. I don't know if it's still that far, but the gap between his steals and the next steals is like pretty big, or was pretty
Let me
big.
take a look here.
It was like Dyson Daniels, and you jump and it's like J Dubs and SJ or something like that. And then like there was like probably like Sar or something. I don't know. It was some random players.
Game players. Let me go on StatMuse.com. StatMuse.com. It is Dyson Daniels with 180.
Yeah,
Second is SGA with 113.
that's a.
There is a 67 steal gap. There is a steal per game gap completely
Oh my god.
between your best stealers in the league. Shout out Chris Dunn.
Oh my god.
So, yeah.
I think this is
He's dominating.
his perimeter defensive gap is so much higher than Mobley's interior defensive gap to the second best player, I guess.
And again, he's doing that with a bad defensive guard
Team, not even just bad defensive.
team. Yeah, team.
There's not a single player on that Hawks team that is a good defensive player outside of Dyson Daniels.
Yeah, maybe Clint Capella for blocks. That's about it. So
I guess Okongwu stepped up a little bit. Let me not hate.
yeah, I mean they're
but
not all bad, but
they're
none of them
just
are like
average.
a Jared Allen level player. None of them are going to be a Coro level like bench on the Cavs.
That's what they got Hunter off the bench, who's a pretty good defender.
Hunter,
Like
elite defender.
Dean
Yeah.
Wade, like they've got good defenders on that team.
I'm rooting for. I think it's going to be Mobley because of the team record. I'm not mad at that either. I don't think that's a steal. No pun intended.
Man.
But I am rooting for Dyson.
I feel
I'll
like,
say Dyson.
dude, I hate
vote
that
for him.
Dyson's gonna lose that because that's very unfortunate.
I'm voting for him though. I hope he gets it.
Now,
Hey, let me have a vote, by the way.
six man of the
Sixth
year.
man of the year.
I don't think it's a runaway. I think Pritchard deserves it the most. I don't think it's a runaway.
No, it's not.
But
A
there
blowout.
has
I
been
think,
like
yeah.
Ty Jerome is his. I think Beasley's the main shout, but I think Beasley is gonna have the Quickly
Hunter.
tax. The Quickly tax that year when like Malcolm Brogdon won versus Quickly. I think
Yeah.
Beasley has started like more games than he should have. He's arguably started like 30 games this season,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
out of the 60, like
He gets a lot of minutes either way.
yeah. Whereas Pritchard's doing it on like 20 minutes per game.
I think it's
Like-
Pritchard, Beasley, Hunter. Those are my top three. Jerome, sure, a little in there too. That's my top three. I will say still Pritchard though. Is Pritchard's a word to lose, unless he gets hurt right now or Beasley drops 35 per game.
And you
stays
gotta
under the
think-
minutes limit.
We're getting
It's
into
Pritchard's
that. We're getting into that time of the year where Pritchard's gonna start getting the like 30 minutes per game.
Yeah,
go
the
off.
Tatum once the Celtics are going to be like, we can't get the first seed. Let's not shut down, but let's not play 1,000,000% every game. Pritchard's going to have 30-point games, at least a couple here, I think, before the season ends. So, yeah, he's good. He's got that. Shout out to him, by the way. Didn't expect that. Went out
Yeah,
against
big
them at all.
lead, big lead. Pretty
Most
much down the board.
improved, most improved player.
This is going to be one of the most controversial awards every single
Cade is
year.
the favorite.
That's
Looking at
ridiculous.
betting odds.
That's ridiculous.
Cade is the favorite. I think he deserves to be in
No,
the talk.
this is where I disagree.
The issue is every year this comes down to two types of players. The best player that went from good to great, and the best player that went from average to good.
The problem is, in my opinion,
It always happens.
is most improved is not meant for a player that is a top lottery pick that is expected to get good. It is meant for players that are arguably like Pritchard, like Beasley, who have went from basic bench role players to elite role players. I would be more.
My vote's Norman Powell. That's what
Well, yeah, that would be my vote. But I'd be more. I'd be more satisfied with Pritchard winning Sixth Man of the Year and Most Improved, or like Beasley winning Most Improved and Sixth Man of the Year, than Cade winning Most Improved, because that's ridiculous.
Dyson Daniels is in there too.
I think, in my opinion, Dyson Daniels is like a fourth-year player. Like, you expect him to get good, but he wasn't a lottery pick. But
you didn't hear much hype for him coming in the league. Cade was the first overall.
My thing is like, Wemby was in there before he's like got shut down for awards, but it's like Wemby's not like Chet. Chet shouldn't be in there. J-Dub should not be in there. These are guys that are expected to get good. They're third, fourth year players. Like, these are meant for players like Norman Powell, who's like a fifth, sixth year, seventh year, eighth year player that just went from a basic role player to arguably an All NBA guy. Like, the award has slowly lost its meaning, in my opinion.
I think, I get it. I would agree to an extent. I think it's a matter of perspective. Some people look at Most Improved as which of the players that are supposed to improved the most this year. There, your answer, Cade. Some people look at it as, like you say, which player that you did not expect to be good was really good. That's what you say. I see both people argue it. I lean towards more what you're saying, that it should be somebody that was not given up on, but it fit a role out as like a role player, and all of a sudden became an all-star, or roughly. So I think Norman Powell's got it for me. I'd vote for Norman Powell. I do think Cade deserves to be in the discussion, though, because I did not expect this much of a jump. He's been solidly a top 10 player this year now, I'd say. And last year I would hesitate to put him top 30. Definitely probably not top 25. Some would argue going from a top, I'm just throwing out numbers for the shit of it, going from like top 75 to top 40 is not as impressive as top 30 to top 10, because the cream of the crop, it gets harder to become better than players up there, which I get.
So yeah, I can see that argument. I just think like Norman Powell went from a not even top 100 player to like arguably a top 25, top 30 player, right? Like, is that crazy to say?
Like, I wouldn't say not top 100, but not crazy to say top 30. Yeah. Like, and I would
huge leap. That's
Norm made a bigger leap in terms of like statistical increases and just general impact. But one would argue Cade made a more impactful leap because he's the star of his team and he is doing better than pretty much everybody expected. So I see both arguments. However, I do lean toward Norman Powell, and that type of player should get the award. I'd vote for him. And but I do believe Cade deserves to be in the running.
Because again, it's like got the Dyson Daniels
much better
shout.
than I thought he would.
Dyson Daniels went from a 8 minutes per game. He went from an 8 minute per game player on the Pelicans because they didn't play him to now he's averaging probably 30 minutes per game, and he's probably the best defender in the league. Like,
yeah, he is.
He is most
definitely improved. So yeah, he should be in the running. It's always going to be a mix of like next year it'll be who's like a good player now that's expected to take a huge leap.
It's going to be like Castle. That's what I'm saying. Is Castle's going to be in the talks like next year? They're going to be like, wow, most improved player. But maybe it's like he's a second year player.
Second year's egregious.
Well, that's my thing. But that's what I'm saying is like this year and last year it was like Chet and Wemby were like in most improved talks before injury. That's ridiculous.
You gotta get a few years. You gotta get a few years under your belt.
Did J-Dubs not almost win it last year?
He was in the talk.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's ridiculous.
You gotta get a few years under your belt. So
you're expected to be a lottery pick and to be improved.
Yeah. Well, people expect players to be MVPs in a rookie year, so that's part of the reason why. But yeah, next year you'll see a player like who's good but expected to become better.
Like Vassell. Vassell will make it, and he's like what, a third, fourth year player.
Like maybe like a Kuminga. Let's say he's starting and fully healthy, averages like 24 a game.
Fair, that's not.
You can see him do it, even though like he's
Thompson,
expected to get.
Eamon Thompson and Sar Thompson,
one of the
third-year
Thompson
players,
twins will definitely be up there, 100%.
I mean, they're both,
especially the Pistons Thompson, because they probably didn't even notice he's doing this.
Both Thompsons are arguably already, and they're both lottery picks. That's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
They both improved more impressively to me
You can
than
see it.
anybody
Jalen
else.
Suggs get it.
He
You
deserves
know.
it.
So
He deserves those shouts, man. That's an elite player, and
no, I'm saying
he's
I
a
also
really
think
guy.
K deserves them too in the same, a similar aspect.
I just
But
think,
yeah,
man, it's rough. It's rough when it's like you said. It's depending on how you look at the award and how you value the award.
if you value a good player becoming a star over a bench player becoming good, fine. I'm still taking the bench player becoming good, especially when it comes relatively out of nowhere like Norman Powell, who's always a good player, 20 point per game
Because
scorer.
like I said, there's the argument for Triple J being an all defensive player of the year candidate 3 years
Yeah,
ago, completely
you
falling
could
off a
argue
cliff.
Cat. You could argue Cat should be in this. If you're
Yeah,
going like
that's
that,
what I'm saying.
so
It's like,
you got to draw the line.
you
I think
can,
again, you draw the line to Cade. It deserves to
dare
be in
I
there.
say, you can literally argue just off 3-point shooting. And it's not crazy to say. I don't think he's the most
Yeah,
improved player, but that 3-point shooting leap
he
is
took a bit of a finishing
one
drop,
of
but
the
again, I
most
blame Randall for that. Yeah, but
improved
yeah,
things.
stuff like that. Fucking
Buddy Hield, man, he went from terrible player to
Buddy
slightly
Hield went from
less
terrible to terrible, which is pretty good.
Give him credit where credit's due.
You look at someone like Looney.
Now, does the
What?
NBA have like the NFL award, where like comeback player of the year award?
They do, I think. Do they?
Do they have a fresh off injury award? Because I feel like who would I give that to if that was a award? I feel like that's a award that should be.
They stopped doing it. They had it in the '80s and just stopped.
That feels like a needed award in the NBA because there's a lot of injury prone players.
There's a lot of injuries. Like this year would be
Wemby, McCain, Suggs, like those players. Well, I'm talking about for next year. For next year,
Next year would be huge ones.
if they added it for this year, I guess.
I'm trying to think of like this year, like who had a crazy injury and came back, or just something crazy like that. I can't think of anybody really that's like a star.
Hero, technically.
Yeah, Hero's a good shout.
Was he not injured last year?
I'm just trying to think of like a season ender, like a bad injury, like Paul George breaking his leg, or something like that. I can't think of any like crazy injury that happened last year.
I was gonna say Chet. You could say Chet.
Chet, but he came back same year, so
You could
kinda rough.
say.
That's tough. Anyway, yeah, but I see what you mean. It'd be cool to have it. I think they should have it.
I'm trying to think of who was injured last year and came back. I want to say like Scotty. Was Scotty not out for time?
He was, but then he got injured again, I think so.
Quickly could be in that conversation. I mean, I guess nobody was really crazy. This year would be
it
like
wasn't
if they added
there's
it.
a lot of like Wemby would be the slam dunk for me. 'Cause the
Not
blood
this
clot
year,
thing.
but I guess like if you were to add the award next year, there's a genuine conversation of like 7 players because you could argue
Wemby,
like
Embiid if he finds something.
that's what I'm saying.
Something
You
like
could
that.
argue players like McCain. You could argue
McCain.
players like that's someone I would throw in like could you give Bankero and Wagner that shout just because they did miss 60 games? Well, not
It's just tough
40
when you
games.
come back in the same year.
Yeah.
'Cause you're already showing like, all right, he's okay.
Kyrie,
It'd
AD.
probably be Wemby for me because the blood clot thing is scary to a lot of people. So him and McCain will be the two.
I was gonna say Kyrie, AD.
Kyrie as well. And Embiid if he played again.
Yeah, if Embiid comes back and starts putting up MVP numbers next year.
That'd be like what? I'm expecting him to retire in 2 years. So
Well, he's doing a new knee surgery, so we'll see.
We'll see.
He's doing the one that Kobe got, if I'm not mistaken.
he needs some stem cells. Well, I'm rooting for him, but I don't know. All right. Well, how about Coach of the Year?
I really wanted to say Pistons coach, but it looks like Cavs coach is probably gonna win it.
Probably, but shout out Pistons coach. I'm cool with either one winning. I think both deserve it.
Again,
Shout out to the Pistons coach.
it depends how you.
Bickerstaff.
It depends how. Well, it depends how to strip my mic. It depends how you value it. It's the same with the most improved. Do you value a team going from literally last place, the 30th team in the league, going to a top 6 team, or do you value a top 5 team going to number 1? It's debatable because I think the leap was
I think
bigger,
both are. Yeah.
but the Cavs did make a historic run, so it's understandable if Cavs win.
When it comes to teams, I'm more inclined to go with the higher seeding rise. I think it's more impressive. The Pistons, I mean, pretty equally, but to go from like fourth, fifth team in the conference to first, strongly first at that,
Well, this is what I will say.
and with a team that, again, I didn't expect it. I don't think anybody did. They expected a good team, not this. Not a real superstar. Donovan Mitchell's a superstar, but not like a Tatum level. And yeah, I would give it to Atkinson. I think the Cavs deserve.
Now, this is my only argument for it, and this is gonna be me. Here comes the bias, the hate.
Let me hear your bias. Why didn't Missoula?
OKC won last year because OKC made an unexpected leap.
Yeah.
Do Pistons not get the same shout because they made an unexpected leap? No one expected the Pistons to be a top 6 seed, arguably on pace to be a top 5, top 4.
That's fair,
Cavs,
especially with Jaden Ivey down too, their second or third best player, arguably.
now again, Cavs did make an unexpected leap to a historic season, but Cavs are having a historic season. But why didn't Missoula win it if Missoula went from a second seed to a historic first seed? That was a 15-win gap on the second best team in the league. That's not just conference, second best team in the league. Cavs are still tied with OKC. Celtics were 15 game gap on OKC in the West, and they were 1 seed. But OKC coach won it over Joe Mazzulla. So why does Cavs all of a sudden get it for their historic season, but Mazzulla didn't get it? This is why I do feel like does Pistons not get the same shot as last year, where Pistons were unexpected to go from very last seed to a top 5 seed? Is that not more impressive and more unexpected? Or does it, again, the goalpost changes when it's the Celtics, or the goalpost changes? That's my whole argument.
I hear you.
It's a big goalpost move where it's like, if Joe Mazzulla didn't win it last year, why should Kenny Atkinson win it this year?
I think Pistons deserve to be in the shout. They deserve to have, Bickerstaff deserves to be in the Coach of the Year category, and I think they are. I think people are putting them in there. From what I've seen, the things knocked against Missoula was more so than the Cavs this year. They were expected to take that leap. I think the Cavs' leap has taken more people by surprise, especially against what is now an established Celtics team. So I think that's part of it. 2, I think doing it in the West, more people find impressive. They think it's a more competitive conference. So having the Thunder up there, I think people gave the Thunder some more points for that. Missoula was in the finalists. He got his shouts, but I'm not mad at the Thunder winning it. I wouldn't have been mad at Missoula winning it. And I'm not mad at the Cavs winning it this year or the Pistons. I think these Coach of the Year, you value different things with coaches. You know, do you value the coach that took a good team to great or a bad team to good? Like the most improved player. I'd give it to the Cavs. I expected the Celtics to become the clear best team in the East. The Celtics are still better than the Cavs. But the Cavs have been the clear best team in the East this year. I didn't expect that for record-wise. So, I'd give it to them for that. I think who they beat is impressive. And that's the blessing and the curse of being the best team in the league. When you do something, it's not as impressive because it's expected. And when something does something to you, it's more impressive because you're the best team in the league. So.
Man, I'm still very much on the Pistons side. I feel like taking
that's not a bad shot at all.
taking a 30th seed, basically a very bottom, the very last place team, to a 6th seed in the East Conference, I think is a greater leap than a 4th seed to a 1st seed. Yes, they're having a historic season, but so is OKC. So it's like you're not the only team having a historic season. Celtics were the only team having a historic season. I think the argument for me really is the Pistons. They went from no one expected them to be a play-in team this year. No one expected them to be anything higher than a 12th seed, you know, and they are fighting for. They're arguably fighting for 4th seed right now. They have a genuine chance to end the season as 4th seed if they keep the pace they're on.
They're on pace to do it right now. They're better of the 3 teams.
They have a better chance of getting 3rd seed over the Knicks right now because of how badly the Knicks have fallen off. Like,
And Brunson's gonna be out for a while.
Pistons have genuinely been more surprising and
Shit, but yeah, Brunson's
impressive.
out. He won't even be in. Brunson won't even be NBA.
And again, Pistons doing this with no All-Stars. Cavs have 3 All-Stars. Pistons have no All-Stars doing this. Put it in that perspective.
They should have won, but yeah.
Put it in. They have no All-Stars and their arguably second best player injured.
Yeah.
3 weeks into the fourth
That
week
was
of the
impressive.
season.
Yeah.
No, like Cavs are doing
I'm
it
cool.
with.
I'm cool with either one. I'm cool with either one winning. And if the Pistons coach wins, I think that's a good story, and he deserves to win. But also, I would go to bat for the Cavs. Kenny Atkinson.
No, I wouldn't be upset if Cavs win it. I just feel like the goalpost changes, and this is where the whole argument for MVP is going to be. Goalpost changes.
When you're the best team in the league, it's different rules.
Like, just let's slide into the MVP.
Let's go for it because we talked enough about that. The Big Dog Award, MVP.
I don't like this year's goalpost moving because at face value, Jokic is the better player. Down the board. If you want to get statistical, he's averaging more rebounds, averaging more assists. If you want to say, okay, well, SGA is a better scorer. SGA is averaging 4 or 5 more points than Jokic, but Jokic is doing this on a smaller volume than SGA, but on a way more elite efficiency. So if you look at just efficiency, Jokic is technically a more elite 3-level scorer than SGA. He's averaging 57, 44, 80 splits or something like that. Is that not more? Is that statistically, efficiency-wise, not more impressive than SGA's 50% shooting from the field? I get he's a small guard, but Jokic averaging 44 from the 3 on career-high volume, is that not just as impressive as SGA's elite scoring from the field? I get Jokic doesn't get that vouch because he's a 7-foot, fat guy. But Jokic being an elite 3-point shooter this year is just as much as an impressive leap as SGA's mid-range, in my opinion. And Jokic is doing this with less free throw attempts and less field goal attempts. If you were to put Jokic onto SGA's field goal attempts, this is hypotheticals, statistically, Jokic would average more than SGA. Correct me if I'm wrong. If he's obviously averaging more efficiency.
It'd be close. Shai's putting up 2 more shots per game only, so nothing crazy.
Yeah, but if that's
and he's got 4 more points per game average. So if Jokic is making all of them, yeah, he'd have like 30.
Well, you're gonna think what I'm saying. Like Jokic is, if you give Jokic his field goal attempts with Jokic's efficiency down the board, statistically, Jokic would be a better scorer.
If he kept it up, yeah. If he had the efficiency to keep up with the.
And again, the 3-point cap is you're talking about a 7-foot center to a 6'2" guard or 6'3".
It doesn't mean as much
guard.
nowadays. It's
technically,
impressive, but
technically SGA should be a better 3-point shooter than Jokic. It's the same thing where technically SGA should be a better playmaker than Jokic, but he's not, and that's a guard compared to a center.
Well, Jokic is
a hub
already. Jokic is already top 10 all-time playmaker, probably top 5 even. Top 5 all-time playmaker in basketball history. So.
But this is where the goalpost moves and change. But now people are like, well, seeding. Why should seeding matter if it's first and second seed? That doesn't really have a gap for me. That's not a big enough gap to be like, well,
you don't value games.
I don't value games because then why didn't Tatum win last year with a 15 lead gap? That's the best player on the best team. 15 margin win on the first seed in the West, and a 16-17 on the East. That's more impressive. Again, if Tatum didn't win last year, because the goalpost changes. Wins don't matter for Tatum, but they matter for SGA. But then the argument comes in for defense. So why does defense only matter for SGA? Because then why wouldn't Giannis be number 1? Because Giannis is averaging 30, but he's arguably the best defender in the league. Not arguably the best, but arguably one of the best defenders in the league. I don't think SGA's defense is on the same level as Giannis's. Giannis's production.
I don't think anybody's is in the MVP running.
I think
Tatum.
That's what I'm saying. And I think if you're gonna argue the thing that makes SGA better than Jokic is defense, then why are Tatum and Giannis not in that argument? Because both Tatum and Giannis are better defenders than SGA 1 through 5. And if you look at stats, Tatum plays 20% of his time on every single position. So he plays a split 1 through 5. He plays 20% of each, 20% of his time on each position. He is one of the most elite, versatile defenders in the league. So is Giannis. So why did the goalpost change to, okay, well, SGA is only going to beat Jokic because the defense matters? If defense matters, why is Giannis not in that conversation? Because Giannis would be number one then. Because the scoring margin is not that much. And Giannis is doing it on better efficiency. And better playmaking and better rebounds. So why does Giannis not get that type of hype? Because then you're going to go back to seeding. Well, Giannis is 5th seed. Well, so why did the goalpost keep moving? The best player in the league is Jokic. He's the best player, the most valuable player. On and off, all that. He's the best player and the best player. But the goalposts keep changing. But it only changes for SGA. And people keep on saying it's for Jokic. I feel like it's for SGA. Because you go to, again, like I said, you go to, well, defense. Okay, but now Giannis can't win it because of seeding. But now seeding doesn't matter if it's for Tatum. It's like, why it constantly changes goalposts. It's unfair. It's clearly, in my opinion, and I think you agree, but Jokic is clearly the best player in the league. He is by far, all around, the best player in the league. He does everything elite besides defense. But even defense, he's not a net negative defender. He's just a average defender.
The start I agree. I think Jokic is MVP. I would vote him MVP if it ended today. But I always subscribe to the value of a player. What if happens if I take him off the team? It's how I look at MVPs a lot over the years. If I take Jokic off the Nuggets team, they are a 12th seed. They're not even a play-in team. If I take Shai off the Thunder team, they are top 6, probably still above play-in. That right there is the killing dagger for me. That is the reason why I have Jokic MVP. To break it down further into statistical categories, like you say, Jokic more efficient. Shai plenty efficient himself. Has a scoring buff, but only by 4 points. And Jokic isn't trying to score that much anyway. He'd rather pass it, set up his guys. Playmaking, I will go to bat for Shai. I think he's a better playmaker than you think. I would give him more props there. But I do believe his playmaking is not so much passing. How do I sound? Like I almost sound like a dick rider, I guess. But his playmaking is like when the ball's in his hand. He directs traffic. He slows it down. He can speed it up. Then he slows it down. Half court, full court, points guys. I'm seeing him point to guys, getting him open. Good off-ball player, too, when he doesn't have the ball in his hands. So I think his playmaking in terms of a literal basketball play is great. It's just, pure passing is like a Steve Nash, Rondo point guard is not there, but doesn't have to be. Rebounding, I don't rebounding.
Yeah,
Rebounding.
that's what I'm saying.
I don't really judge rebounding that much. Jokic is impressive, and Shai's fine. Defense, Shai is good. Wouldn't say great.
See, that's my other
Might be
argument.
overrated a little bit.
I think he's overrated because, just to jump on that point, then on my other point, I think Shai's an overrated defender because SJ's. I want to see a statistical. I want someone to pull up a statistical showing of how often SJ is guarding the first or second option, because I've seen statistics, and statistically, Jaylen Brown is one of the top 5 players who guards a 24 points per game scorer per game on ball timing. So I want to see
I think that's the difference.
where
Jaylen
SGA
Brown's
is.
That's the difference. Jaylen Brown's an elite defender.
But so is Tatum.
Shai's just good.
But what I'm saying is like,
Yeah, so Tatum and Brown, that's why they're the best team in the league. They
well, I
can
guess
swap.
one of my thing is like I'm guessing like, why does Jokic get so much flack for his defense? But it's like, at what point does OKC get does SGA get the defensive nerf of, is his team not just really good defensively? Because that's what Tatum got all last year.
I think Jokic's nerf against him. A few things. One, Jokic's defensive nerf is effort. It looks bad when he just kind of watches a guy lay it up and he's like, just to get the ball out of bounds to go for a full court pass. It looks worse. So I think people have called him a worse defender than he really is. That being said, I will call him, for his position compared to his peers, a bad defender. I will say the word bad, not average. But he's a very intelligent. He's directing traffic. He's telling guys where to go. So his off-ball defense in terms of helping around is still great because he's a smart player.
See, I would disagree because I think he's a very good off-ball defender. He's very good in the cutting lanes, the passing lanes. He averages the same amount of steals as SGA. He's good on off-ball steals. He's good at blocking passing lanes. He is good at his.
He's
Yes,
the smartest player. He's the smartest player in the league.
I
so
will agree. Yes, he is a lazy defender. Like, you're not going to catch him on the perimeter. Like it's. I watched the Nuggets game last night. There was a few times where he picked up SGA on the perimeter. That should never happen, but he did it. So I do want to give him shout where shout due. Like he does play defense.
He'll randomly, stupidly lock in, but it's just not consistent enough. So I understand the demerit against it, especially compared to that's where like Giannis. You see what Giannis is doing, and when it comes to scoring, at least an offensive clip that's similar. But so you're like, yo, Jokic, you could give me a little more on defense, but hey, I don't care. So anyway, I get it, but we've talked about this before. Jokic's offensive
gap is
prowess and what he provides to the team overcomes any defensive setbacks he has, which is mainly just him trying to catch a breath for once in the game. So
that's my other thing. What's more impressive? Is it SGA averaging 33 points and what? He's averaging 5 assists, 6 assists?
He's got 33, 5, and 6, 2 steals.
I just want to know his assist number 6.
6.2.
So altogether, he's averaging 45 points per game. 45 points that he's
points responsible for, probably 45 or so.
If we're not including threes, if SGA are in what Jokic is averaging 12 assists or 11 assists, 10 assists, what is he averaging?
Jokic has
10 flat.
29 points per game and 11 assists, rounding up.
So that's 22. So they're pretty much.
He's providing about 50 to 52 points per game.
So yeah, that's 7 more than SGA. So
statistically speaking, in terms of pure scoring, his impact combined is bigger just because of his assists.
And again, I will say rebounds aren't a huge factor, but at the end of the game, at the basis of basketball, rebounding is the most important thing in the game because whoever gets the rebound controls the ball.
Plus rebounding.
So I think rebounding is very important, but it's a team. It's
important.
Thing.
It's just I don't knock a guard for having 5 rebounds.
No, I agree. That's what I'm saying. He's a 7-foot center. He
rebounding is a lot of its intelligence. And Jokic, again, smartest player in the league. So he knows ball's coming this way. It's going to bounce and do some physics bullshit and land in his hands. So
I just see it as no matter how you cut it, I don't think SGA's offensive gap, and I know he's having a historic scoring season. He is having I get the gap is like 300 points total scoring or whatever. It's something stupid. But when you cut it, if you look at efficiency, if you're looking at pure efficiency, I'm not talking skill. I'm talking pure efficiency. Jokic is a better scorer. But I think, yes, you're going to have to give SGA he's scoring at this elite of a clip. He is a more skilled scorer. I will agree. Because, again, Jokic is just a dominant scorer. Whereas SGA is a finesse and whatnot scorer. So, yes, SGA is a more skilled scorer. But from a base argument, I'm not, I can't say that SGA is clear scoring of Jokic just because that 300 gap, because...
No, I don't think it's a blowout. Again, I think he's been the better scorer.
Yeah.
And I think he is a better scorer in terms of just pure putting orange thing in the basket.
I just think the gap is not there. The gap isn't like people make it out to be like this huge gap, but it's really not. No, yes, SGA is having a historic season. I'm not knocking his historic scoring season, but again, I just think SGA is getting hype for things that other players have been knocked for in previous years. SGA is getting hype for his defense when he has an elite defensive team. SGA is getting hype for his offense when he has an elite team. Again, last year, Tatum and Giannis would get knocked for the same exact thing. Giannis is getting knocked for his scoring on an elite team. Not an elite team, but on his team. They're saying he's stat padding. He's not really scoring like that. His assists aren't really matter, yada, yada, yada. Or people were saying, well, Tatum doesn't deserve MVP because he's a good team. But when it comes to SGA, it completely just knocks it out of the room. It's like, SGA has arguably the best team in the league. But that does, why does that not still get the same argument that Tatum does? Whereas Tatum can't win it because he has a good team, but SGA can win it because he has a good team. I don't find it fair at all. Again, the goalpost moves, and it's not fair.
I hear you. Yeah, I would just for closing remark, I would boil it down to it's very close. And when it's this close, like I said, take both of them off their teams. What's the effect? The Nuggets are a lottery team. The Thunder are a 5th seed, 6th seed. That right there, Jokic is MVP. That to me does it. As for, yeah, I mean, Tatum gets hoed in the media pretty bad. I can tell you that from an outsider perspective. It's getting nasty out there for Tatum, the password, because he's commonly forgotten.
That's player area there.
Did you see Colin Cowherd's generational rant?
Oh my God, yeah. He said Tatum's not a superstar player because he has no aura.
Michael, tongue out. LeBron, chalk toss. Curry, mouth guard. Tatum, I don't see anything. He's talking like he's narrating a war. Shout out to Colin Cowherd, funny guy. But yeah, back to this. Tatum's been hoed. I mean,
I just want to say that Pacers just beat the Bucks by 1 point in a 4-point
game winner.
A 4-point Tyrese Halliburton play to win the game.
Jesus Christ, not the Halliburton 4-pointer.
Game tying 3. Giannis fouled him. Halliburton makes the free throw to win the game.
Shout out Halliburton. He's been playing better last month or so. Pacers, man, hey. They're not that good, but they're pretty solid. Don't sleep on them.
Listen, I know we're like mid-conversation, but this disgusting point guard matchup, Dame, 15 points, 3 rebounds, 11 assists. 4 for 14 for field goal. 2 for 7 for the 3. Halliburton, 14, 3, 10. 5 for 12 from the field goal, a little better than Dame. 2 for 6 from the 3. Halliburton.
That is a stat line out of 2009 right there.
Halliburton, his winning 3 was his second 3 made the whole game. You got to give credit where credit's due.
Those sound like point guard stats from 2009. We've come a long way.
No one shuts down Giannis like the Pacers did. Giannis had 19, 17, 7, which is still an impressive stat line, but
he had a Jokic game.
Like when you're going from 30 points per game to 19,
that's a great game against Giannis, holding in the 19 points. He's done a great job. Siakam had a great game. But anyway, just to close up on the MVP, like we agree Jokic should win it. I will say this: it's close enough where if Shai wins it, I'm not mad. I don't think it's a steal. I don't think it's a robbery, in my opinion. But I would still give it to Jokic. And yeah.
See, my problem.
Shout out both of them. Pretty good players.
Yeah, just to end it off on my note, I have no problem with SGA winning. It's my problem was with the goalpost moving, where it's like, dare I say it, probably the only time you'll ever hear me defend this man.
Let me hear it.
Is I'm a generational Giannis hater, but Giannis gets no recognition for what he's doing when he's averaging 30, 13, and 6 right now. So he's averaging more assists than SGA, better efficiency than SGA, better defense than SGA, and only averaging 3 less points than SGA. So the only argument that comes in for Giannis is seeding, but it's like the seeding argument is so dumb to me because like we're not talking about best
Giannis,
team, we're talking about best player, best singular player, and I think that's still Jokic.
Somebody would argue that the best players make their team better.
Because my still argument is, if I'm playing top 5,
I think the Nuggets being a 2nd seed is a good thing for Jokic's MVP case. That is not a top 2 team.
Because my thing is if I'm just to end this off, I still have my ranking of Jokic number 1. I'd still arguably put Giannis number 2, and I'm putting Tatum, Luka, SGA, and that's off not the 1-year sample. I'm going off the last couple years.
Is it a talent rating or MVP voting ranking?
This is me going for pure talent rating, who I think is the best player in the league still.
That's fair.
I still have Tatum
and
SGA
second MVP voting
this year. Yeah, the thing is, I think Giannis deserves more recognition for what he's doing, and I think Tatum deserves more recognition for what he's doing. Do I think that they deserve MVP over SGA and Jokic? No, but I don't think it's fair to say that there's a huge gap because there's not. Because I think if we're gonna keep changing the dialogue of what MVP should be, then it should honestly weigh into Giannis and Tatum's decision more because like we're talking about who's the two best players. Then should Tatum and Giannis not get more hype for being both top 5 scorers and top 5 defenders in an arguable sense?
Yeah, I mean, I always took it literally. Most valuable player. If it was best player, it'd be called best player in the league
Yeah.
award. But most valuable to me, value to your team. Take all of them out. No Jokic, Nuggets lottery. No Shy, Thunder are 6 seed. No Giannis, Bucks lottery. No Tatum, Celtics are 6 seed. Ranking it that way, I would go Jokic, Giannis, Tatum, Shy. Just pure value. But obviously, there's more to it. So
Fair. No, I agree. Fair.
yeah, so I agree. Like especially Tatum deserves more recognition. He gets clowned a lot, but yeah, it would be Jokic, then Shy by like an inch. Jokic over Shy, then a gap, but not a huge gap. Giannis and Tatum are 3 and 4 for me. I'd put Giannis just a little over, just because. Again, take Giannis off the Bucks. Please God, don't make me watch that. So that's how I always looked at MVP.
Mm-hmm.
I had Luka winning it last year. And
See,
I had Curry winning it in 21 when he had that year where they barely got him into the play-in.
see, that's
I understand the record was bad, but
I don't agree with your take on the Luka last year. I think Luka had impressive stats, but I think his is in the same argument as SJ. You take Luka off that Mavs team, and they were still arguably a playoff team. Whereas like you take Jokic off any Nuggets team, and they're not making playoffs. They're not making play-in.
I don't think either team's making playoffs.
I think last year with Kyrie running the show, we just saw it this year. The same exact team, but more injured. I think
that's fair.
Yeah, I think it's not crazy to say.
I don't see it as much as you do, but I understand your argument.
Well, I think my thing is we saw it this year.
I also think Jokic had a better team last year, in terms of for a couple reasons. But yeah, last year you take Jokic off. A Jokic-less Nuggets are worse than a Doncic-less Mavs last year. Yes. However, I think his stats carried him over the hump. A Jokic-less Nuggets are worse than a Shy-less Thunder, but I don't think Shy stats, because Jokic's stats went up too. Luka averaged 34, 9, 10.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was very impressive.
Shy is averaging 33, 6, 33, 5, 6. Statistically down across the board. Efficiency is better than Luka's, but not that much more. And Jokic improved himself too, but that's last year's argument. Anyway, long story short, shout out to Peyton Pritchard.
To go, that's all we can say. Yeah, Pritchard should be MVP this year. Also Defensive Player of the Year, and he's also be Sixth Man of the Year.
White Man of the Year.
He's threes leader, steals leader, blocks leader, rebounds leader. Yeah, he's pretty much leading every single statistical category at the moment. So, shout out Pritchard. And
next year's MVP winner, calling it now, Brandon Pajemski.
The Pythagorean theorem.
P squared, they call him.
Right.
You know they call Gary Payton the Golden Gooner?
That's a horrendous nickname.
He got caught gooning on Twitter a few months ago. He was called the Golden Gooner.
I did see him go private because they caught his him like tweeting like.
Yeah, he went nuts.
He tweeted something, "I love porn" or something. Or was that it was somebody on the Warriors.
That was him. Yeah, he was a huge porner. Hey, last game he had like 8 threes. I don't know what the fuck got into him.
So did Lou Dort. He had 9 threes last night.
Fuck Lou Dort.
Yeah, I hate the guy, but yeah. Well, no motion meteor crash. We shall see.
Hey.
We shall see you soon.
That's Marvin. This is Melvin. That's Mauritius.
Marquise.
That's Monica. Monica, the editing bay. Say hi, Monica.
Hi. Don't forget Marquise.
Marquise was arrested. We are no longer associating with Marquise Morris.
No, Marquise Motion. My bad.
Oh, sorry. I thought Marquise Morris.
No,
Marquise Motion. Yeah, no, yeah. Actually, he's a CEO.
Oh, okay.
He actually outbid me for the company. Took my shares. I'm now I'm the intern.
It happens. It happens.
I lost the stock.
I need somebody with a little bit of motion
stock. Put money in our stock. We're the only stock facing upward right now in the economy. So lock with us. Put some money on us. NFTs coming out soon.
Yeah, crypto scams.
He's making One Piece motion NFTs.
Yeah, we're also doing a rug pull soon, so be prepared for that.
A rug pull. We're doing a shit coin. It's called motion money. So get in that. MM. Put $MM on Twitter to get all the bots. the reply.
Yeah, we have that No Motion Media apparel coming out. The mugs,
Yeah, motion. Yeah.
the motion
And
mugs.
the no motion. The classes you're doing. You're
Oh
teaching
yeah, I'm doing the
media literacy,
yeah.
and broadcasting. Yeah.
Well, we also have the motion mouthpiece coming out for sports players.
That is true. Yes, we are starting another podcast, 19th one, called the Motion Mouthpiece, where we interview players. We ask them, what's the length? What's the girth? How do you use it? You know, what's it smell like? Stuff like that.
We already have 3 people lined up. I'll give a little spoiler. It's PJ Washington. We have Kelly Oubre, and we have Wardell. So.
And a hidden spoiler, I haven't told you this, so everybody's learning it live. Adam Stern.
Oh my God.
He's coming on the pod.
From the grave.
I just realized I combined Adam Silver's and David Stern's names.
Well, we'll end it there, guys.
It's going to be a hell of an interview, then.
We'll end it there, guys. That was No Motion Media. Brofist.
Motion out.